Jili Yasoda Suta Charami Puri Bilaje Utita Tapana Hoilias Ina Gelo Boli Hoiliasta Sabe que no había la sahoy, Nabadya Hidoi Raje. Jivana Anicca Janarasa Taina Navija Vipadabha Namasraya Koi Jatani Tum Takahe Tapana Kaje Jivera Kalyana Sadhanaka Jagati Asi Madhurina Avidya Tumira Tapana Rupi Vidyagane Puriraje Krishna Namasuda Koyapan Juro Apakati Vinodapam Namadina Kichu Naiko Oro Todo Abhuvana Maji Udilo Aruna Pura Papat Vidyamani Gora Amani Jadi Vakata Samu Aloya Sadhi Kela Nagara Vaji Tatai Bhajalako Gana Ganatai Janjiraro Premi Dala Dala Sunara Anga Charani Rupuri Vaji Mukunda Madhava Yadava Bolina Bolo Vivadana Boi Mukunda Madhava Vichini Davasi Gelo Irati Divasa Sarira Saje Uchita Tapana Hoila Udita Tapana Hoila Dina Gelo Boili Hoi Vyasa keno abi alasa hoy, nabadya hidoy raje. Jivana anicca jnana rasa, taena navita vipadaba. Namasvaya koi jatane tume, takai apanakaje. Jivera kalyana sadhanaka, jagati asi madurinam. Avidya tumira tapana rupe, vidgagani puriranje. Krishna nama sudha koyapan, juro abhakti vinodapan. Namaki naki chunai koara, juro abhuvana bhaje. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. This is called the Gita songs the gopis' songs of separation. And these are verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th chapter, or 10th canto, chapter 10, verse 1 to 9. One to 5. The nectar of your words and the description of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations transmitted by learned sages eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestows good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly those who spread the message of Godhead are most magnificent.
The gopis said, O beloved, your birth in the land of Vraj has made it exceedingly glorious, and thus Indira, the goddess of fortune, always resides here. It is only for your sake that we, your devoted servants, maintain our lives. We have been searching everywhere for you, so please show yourself to us.
O Lord of love, in beauty your glance excels the wall of the finest, most perfectly formed lotus within the autumn pond. O bestower of benedictions, you are killing the maidservants who have given themselves to you freely, without any price. Isn't this murder?
O greatest of personalities, you have repeatedly saved us from all kinds of danger, from poisoned water, from the terrible man of the Argon, from the Gred's rain, from the wind demon, from the fiery thunderbolt of Indra, from the bull demon, and from the son of Maya Davana.
Okay, read.
You are not actually the son of the gopi Yashoda, O friend, but rather the indwelling witness in the hearts of all embodied souls. Because Lord Brahma prayed for you to come and protect the universe, you have now appeared in the Satvata dynasty.
Avakatam ritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmasapaham. Shravanamangalam Srimadattatam Bhuvi Grinanti Puridajana. Jayate Jayate Trikam Janmana Vraja Swayata Indira Shasvatatrahi. Vaitadishyatam Dikshutavakas Tvayadishashvavas Swam Vichindvate. Suradudasyaye Sadhu Jata Sat Surasiddhodara Sri Mushadusha. Suratanatate Saukadasika Varadaninato Nehakim Vadam. Vishajalapyayat Yala Rakshasat Vasavaruhitat Vaidutanalat. Vishamayat Majat Vishvatobhyayat Rishabhateyayam Rakshitamuho. Nakula Gopika Nandano Bhavan Akila Dehinam Antaratmadrik. Vikanasartito Vishvaguptaye Saka Udehivan Satvatam Kale. Tavakatam Ritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriditam Kalmasapaham. Shravanamangalam Srimadattatam Bhuvi Gunantiye Puridharjana. Jayati te dukam janmana vraja Svayata indira vasvadatrahi. Taiti drisyatam dikshutavakas tvai drishyasvavas tvam vichinjate. Suradudasyaye sadhu jata sat sarasijo dara shri mushadusha. Suratanatate Saukadasika Varadaninato Deha Kimvada. Vishajalapyayat Vyalarakshasad Vasamurutatat Vaidutanalat. Vasamayat Majat Vishvatobayat Rishabhate Mayam Rakshita Muho. Nakalo Gopika Vandano Bhavan Akila Dehinam Antaratmadrik. Vikanasartito Vishvaguptare Sakha Devihan Sattvatam Kule. Srila Vyasadeva ki jai. Click them. Click them. Om Jnatimanandasya Dinanjana Salakaya Chaksur Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishnam Stapitamina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadambayam Dadati Savanantikam Vanchakalpatubhyascha Kripasindhavarevacha Patitananam Bhagalibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Haribo! Dhirasanta Swami Maharaj, thank you for coming. I would like to introduce a little bit about yourself. Dhirasanta Swami Maharaj, he is pioneer. He joined 1972 in London, and his autobiography is actually very interesting. It's linked to USSR because he helped to early devotees in those days to smuggle actually first books to Bhagavad Gitas and other books to USSR. And thank you for this because you made your role, you play your role in the Krishna's plan. And what else? It's very interesting. Your first sannyasi that I met that got all four ashrams from Brahmachari till sannyas. So it's very interesting to speak to you. I've got one letter. I just found it. It's April 10, 1972, to Mahatma Prabhu. I haven't found a letter to you from Prabhupada. So, but it's actually dated approximately that when you joined. And it might be, it caught my attention, so you may just read it from Prabhupada to Mahatma Das and just open this topic.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So far, you are thinking about things and making so many plans. That is all right. But our first business is Krishna's plan. That is the only plan. And no matter how many schemes we employ to adjust things in this material world, if they have no solid basis in Krishna's plan, they remain merely dreams of phantasmagoria. So in this Krishna consciousness movement, I am training boys and girls all over the world how to act nicely by practically serving Krishna in their everyday lives. That is more important than trying for something which I may like to do, but which will never happen. Just like Sudama Vipra, he did not want to offer something very small, but his wife insisted, so he offered Krishna only a small bowl of flaked rice, and Krishna took it with great pleasure. And when Sudama Vipra returned home to his poor hut, he found a huge palace made of jewels. So the point is to make sure of what we already have. That is most important, and if Krishna sees that we are using it properly for pleasing him in loving attitude or devotional service, then Krishna gives every facility in reciprocation of love. So, if you have talent for musical achievement, that is nice. But if you nourish some ideas of becoming famous by playing some music, that will be a source of frustration, the end. So it is better if you play your music for Krishna by having very ecstatic kirtans in your center in Vancouver. And in this way, as I have introduced it, all of the devotees and also the general public as well will be able to join together cooperatively in the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not that we shall glorify anyone else. Let the materialists operate in their own way, but we have got Vaishnavism stand, and we've got Vaishnavism stand, and we should train the general public to accept it and come up to our platform of process of doing things. Not that we should reduce to their standard. It's a letter to Mahatma, 10th of April 1972. So this evening I will go through some different things which I've picked up in different books from my godbrothers in glorification of Srila Prabhupada. And before I start that, I want to mention some of the prayers that Srila Prabhupada spoke before he left the Jaladuta ship that he was traveling on as it was landing in Boston. Just before landing, he spoke these prayers to his Guru and to Lord Krishna. These are not all the prayers, but I've selected just a few of them. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, the most fallen. Therefore I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or a failure as you like. O spiritual master of the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their heart, they will certainly feel gladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands, so if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance. O Lord, make me dance as you like. And the last one. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have a strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. This is very interesting because you can close the door again. This is very interesting because whenever we attempt to do something, we should follow just as Prabhupada has done here. He had a mission. His guru asked him to come to the West and to preach Krishna consciousness. And it's a very tall order. It's not something small. He's coming from Vrindavan, and he ends up in the Boweries in New York, which is such an extreme difference from India to the Boweries, Vrindavan to the Boweries. And, he's doing it because it's the order of the spiritual master. No other reason why he should be there. But he knows that he cannot do this alone, so he offers these prayers to Guru and Krishna. And because he offered such prayers to Guru and Krishna, taking 100% shelter of them, he was successful. And if we want to also be successful in assisting Srila Prabhupada, we also have to approach Guru and Krishna in the same way. We have no knowledge, we have no devotion. We're simply seeking your mercy, Krishna and Guru, so that we can be of some assistance to Srila Prabhupada's mission. So it's very important. We cannot. I remember in the early days, actually, because we didn't really have any knowledge either, we would go out every day on the books distribution. We would think, let's go to such and such town and liberate that town today. We actually thought we could go and liberate the town in one day. So after some time, we soon learned that actually that was what Prabhupada could do, but we were not Prabhupada. And before doing it anyway, we should have taken shelter much more than what we did. So it was a mode of passion, and therefore we fell flat on our faces. So it took many years for us to understand this point that actually we're not doing anything. As Prabhupada is saying, if you want me to dance, then make me dance. I will be the puppet, but you pull the strings, because otherwise I will not be successful. So many people heard Srila Prabhupada's message, or Krishna's message, but not all developed faith in it. The beginning of bhakti is faith. Thus, when we ask how to get bhakti, we really mean how to get some faith, which is bhakti in its initial stage. This is also something which Rupa Goswami mentions in the Nectar of Devotion, that the only qualification needed to begin bhakti is a little bit of faith. Otherwise, don't think that you're incapable, that you are not qualified. It's a very clear statement here. If we have some little bit of faith, that's all that's required in the beginning. And that faith is like an automatic car. You put it in the right slot, and you put the accelerator down, and as the car is moving, it automatically changes gear. Krishna consciousness is just like that. You put yourself in the right position, and then automatically one thing leads to the next. And it's all very mystical. In the very beginning, we stumble, but as we become more Krishna conscious, we are able to balance on our 2 feet. Not only balance on our 2 feet, but we seem to be doing things which are inconceivable. Just like standing in the street and with a pile of books and just handing them out one by one, as if, we could have done that before being devotees. It was not possible. But because we are devotees and we're taking shelter, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda are there empowering us. Yes, that's right. You stay there and I will send the right persons to you to receive the book. Be my instrument, and then your day will be successful. So it's all about the frame of mind, a little bit of faith, and a good frame of mind, understanding that Guru and Krishna will do everything in due course of time. Compromising with Vedic principles and lifestyles. Yeah, this is something which, when Prabhupada came to New York, he met Nikhilananda Swami, he was a Mayavadi, but Prabhupada befriended him because he had no friends. He had no one to speak to. And during the association with Nikhilananda Swami told Prabhupada that now you're in New York, you must compromise with your principles. You give up these Vedic practices. You're now in New York City, and you have to compromise now with the lifestyle of this land, which means that you should give up your strict vegetarian principles. You should also drink liquor. And this is a Swami telling Prabhupada, you got to compromise now. You're in a place where you must compromise. You must wear pants, and you must eat with a knife and fork. So what did Prabhupada say to that? The others may have come to compromise, he thought, but they came to beg technical knowledge from the West. I have not come to beg anything, but to give something. This is Prabhupada's mood. He would not compromise with his Vedic practices. He remained very strict. Even in the middle of winter, he's wearing dhoti and kurta. He has a nice thick jacket on, but he didn't compromise his dhoti, kurta, and tilak. And therefore, when he walked in the streets of New York, even if someone didn't know him, this is the first time seeing him, they were struck with wonder. Oh, who is this person? He dares to be different. He dares to be different. And that was Prabhupada's mood. He had a message. In order to distribute that message, he needed to be an example and not compromise like the other Swamis did. In the first years in New York, before he started ISKCON, Prabhupada's life was full of risks and adventure at the same time. This is an interesting point. Adventure, Krishna consciousness is full of adventure. It may be difficult for different reasons, but we don't consider difficulties as anything bad. In fact, a difficult situation is the best situation, because then we can surrender to Krishna that much more. So, Prabhupada took the risks, took many risks in the very beginning. We cannot imagine what it was like for Prabhupada to be without money in a foreign country, and yet to dare to present Krishna consciousness. If at any point he had gone back to India after the robbery in his room in 70th Street, or on any of these Scindia return voyages, or after he had to leave the Bowery when Mr. Paul was crazy, if at any point he had gone back to India, then he would never have been able to spread Krishna consciousness. There's something else there, but I don't know what that. And there's this smile of Prabhupada. Prabhupada's smile was oceanic. We were doing our best to assist him, but we always waited for that merciful glance of Srila Prabhupada and that smile to say, yes, this is very good, well done. He didn't even have to say anything, but just the way he would look and the way he would smile, and sometimes a very big smile that was not just from the lips, but from his whole face. He would smile. And then we felt that all the difficulties that we had endured in assisting Prabhupada was worthwhile, because Prabhupada is happy. One time, Yamuna Devi asked Prabhupada that now I understand that our objective is to go back home, back to Godhead. This is the reason why we're serving Krishna, to ultimately to return back to Krishna and retain our eternal constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. So she said, but my understanding is that the Prabhus, they will easily go back home, back to Godhead, because they're men. But we are women, and we don't have that same opportunity. And Prabhupada said, yes, that's true, if you think you are a woman. He said, but you're not women, you're Vaishnavis. There's a difference between women and a Vaishnavi. You know how women are, I don't know how you do it, but something womanly. Whereas a Vaishnavi is like this, dancing, chanting. There's a big difference. Prabhupada said, if you're a Vaishnavi or a Vaishnava, there's equal opportunity to achieve the perfection of this human life and go back home, back to Godhead. And the first Mayapur festival was 1972. And at that time there were 20 devotees who attended the festival. I wasn't there, but I did attend the 73 festival. 1973, there were 200 devotees. And Prabhupada invited his godbrothers to the Gaur Purnima festival, and he even asked them to speak. The problem was that some were favorable to Prabhupada's starting the ISKCON society, and others were not favorable, for the simple reason that Prabhupada had made many changes. One of the changes he made was accepting women as disciples, women allowed in the ashram, and women getting Gayatri mantra. This was never been done before, and many of the godbrothers were critical. But Prabhupada had studied the relationship between women and men in the West. And he said, if I only accept men, the men would not stay in the ashram. They would just go away. Oh, there's no ladies here. Well, we don't need this. So So Prabhupada saw that, and he knew the bottom line of Lord Chaitanya's philosophy, which was there is no distinction between male and female. There's no distinction between who's qualified and who's not qualified, from which country someone is born or someone is residing. Lord Chaitanya made no distinctions, and therefore Prabhupada said to her that you just continue your service as you are, and you will also be 100% successful. Oh yeah, sorry. No, back to the Gaur Purnima Mayapur. So they were upset, some of them, about Prabhupada accepting women. And Prabhupada saw this. So after the celebrations and the discussions, it was time to serve prasadam. So Prabhupada called Malati over. He said, I want you to serve the prasadam to all the sannyasis. Ouch. Oh, it didn't go down very well. And Prabhupada was he was smiling. He said to them, this is my disciple Malati Devi Dasi. She would cut her throat for me, and I would cut my throat for her. End of story. What could they say to that? Prabhupada made it clear to them, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. You will see. You will see how ISKCON will thrive. It's already thriving. I'm already doing much more than you have ever done. He didn't say that, but he knew that ISKCON was flourishing, and he was actually doing the right thing. Another thing he was criticized for was that he was building ashrams before the temple. It's interesting that now, after 50 years, we are now going to open the big temple in Mayapur. 50 years. And Prabhupada, he said, when he heard that criticism, he said, that's idol worship. He said, first, devotees. Make a place for devotees to live, to reside. Who's going to worship the deity if there are no devotees available? That's why he said it's idol worship. So, first devotees, make ashrams or buildings for the devotees to reside. Then we'll build the temple for Krishna. So now, in a couple of years' time, we will do that. We will open up the big temple, and by that time, there will be many devotees serving the deities, making sure that all their needs are taken care of. So a wonderful arrangement made there for Prajaris to serve Radha Madhava, Panchatattva, and Lord Nrsingadev. So this is Prabhupada. He was consistent in whatever he did. He knew he was doing the right thing. In a letter in 26th of May, 72, to Guru Das, he said, so far as your question regarding women, I have always accepted the service of women without any discrimination. Why are you so restless?
I don't know.
Oh, you need to sit down and just sit down. come here. You're okay there. Okay. Just sit down, okay? There's nothing to be restless about. I'm finishing in 5 minutes anyway, okay? One time when Prabhupada was lecturing about life on other planets, he said, I'm not just saying this, but I am convinced. Other times he would say, rest assured, take it from me. I know what I'm talking about. I have realized it. It is a fact, so please take it and accept it from me. Take it from me, there are higher planets. Just because you cannot see, it doesn't mean to say they don't exist. Don't be Dr. Frog. You know, the story of Dr. Frog, who could not see beyond his well. Sometimes questions were too personal. Here are some examples. Someone would ask Prabhupada, are you happy? What a thing to ask Prabhupada, are you happy? Prabhupada replied, if I told you yes, would you believe me? Prabhupada was expert in not getting trapped in questions which were a little condescending. Sometimes there was one question, are all your devotees pure devotees? How many pure devotees are there on this planet now? Prabhupada replied, this is not a very intelligent question. Other times, amongst his devotees, that question was asked too, how many liberated souls there were. And Prabhupada asked how many devotees there are in ISKCON. So at that time there were 2,000 devotees. So he said there are 2,000 liberated souls. As soon as you take up the practice of Krishna consciousness, you come up onto a liberated platform. Another question, do you know everything? I know what Krishna wants me to know, and he will tell me. An Indian gentleman once came to Srila Prabhupada in his room. Stay there. You monkey. An Indian gentleman once came to Srila Prabhupada in his room. He prostrated himself before Srila Prabhupada and got up and said, Swamiji, you will save me. You can enlighten me. Srila Prabhupada said, I cannot enlighten you. I can teach you how you can enlighten yourself, but you will have to do the work yourself. So this is a nice point too, because we're always asking, me as a sannyasi, it's constant. Can you give me the mercy for this and the mercy for that? It's like as if I have a magic wand in my pocket. So we learn to understand that actually the mercy can be given, but you must first do the hard work. When I was first a sannyasi, a woman came up to me and said, can you give me the blessings for a husband and some children? And like a fool, I gave the blessings. And 1 year later, she saw me again. She said, Maharaj, where's my wife and where are my children? And I realized, I made a mistake. So first get your wife and get some children, and I'll bless the children. There'll be nice devotees of Radharani. But, we have to do the work ourselves. We can't expect that, everything is going to fall from the sky. And Prabhupada gave another example in regards to this. He gave the example of a man falling in a well. He's calling, help, help, help. And so another man was coming, walking along. He heard the cry. He looked down the well. He saw the man down in the well. He said, just 1 minute, I'll get the rope. So he went and got a rope, passed it down. And after passing it down, the man in the well said, well, thank you for the rope, but can you give me the mercy to hold on to the rope? He said, you rascal, the rope is there, just hold on, grab hold. Now, so I probably gave that as an example how we should not think that we don't need to do anything. The mercy will come automatically if we're sincere and we make our own little effort. Another man, Indian man, Prabhupada was walking out of a pandal after giving class. He was a very respectable man. And he was with his wife, and they paid obeisances to Prabhupada's feet. And then as the man got up, he said, Swamiji, please give me your mercy. And Prabhupada looked at him. He probably could see people for what they were. And he could see that this man was not serious to accept devotional service. So he said to him, you don't need my mercy. But the man was insisting at least 3 times. He was saying, no, I have come for your mercy. Please give me your mercy. And then Prabhupada said, okay, you got my mercy. I will pray to Krishna that he takes away all your material opulence. No, Swamiji, not that mercy. Yeah. So, but Krishna, this is the difference, actually, between demigod worship and the worship of Krishna. There is a difference. The demigods will give you what you want, but Krishna only gives you what you need. So if you want to worship the demigods, then go and worship the demigods. You may get some opulence, but you still remain in the material world. It's like, they go and speak to Durga, please give me this, please give me that. But all they're doing is making themselves more comfortable within the material world. And Prabhupada also gives another example. He says, man is in the jail. One day, the superintendent of the jail knocks on the cell door. He said, okay, prisoner, come, I want to tell you something. Today, I am feeling charitably disposed. You ask me for anything you like. Just name it and I'll give it to you. And the prisoner is quite shocked. You mean anything I like? Yeah, you name it, I'll give it to you. So he looks around his cell. What do I need? Yeah, the bed. The bed's too hard. Can you give me a soft bed? And superintendent says, is that all you want? Yeah, just give me a soft bed and I'll be happy. He could have asked for freedom, but he didn't. And this is what demigod worship is all about. They want to be more comfortable within the material world. When I first went to India, I was thinking that preaching in India would be easy. I had no idea that they considered Krishna equal to all the other demigods. One night in the in the Bombay temple, Swami was giving the class. Suddenly this very frustrated Indian man, he jumped up and he started shouting his head off. Why this Krishna? Why Krishna, 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 Krishna? Why not Durga? Why not Shiva? Why not Ganesh? And I was like shocked. I was so shocked to hear that challenge. And I was wondering, what is this Swami going to say to this? This is a really heavy challenge. What is he going to say? And what he said was so true. He said, if all the gods are the same, then why are you excluding Krishna? You say all the gods are the same, but why are you? What's your problem about Krishna? He said, no, you will not worship Krishna because Krishna is Hari. And Hari is the one who takes away. He will take away your material opulence if need be. He says in the Bhagavatam that my first installment for my devotees, I take everything away for some time and then I give it all back 100 times more. So this is how Krishna works. He only gives you what you need. He doesn't give you what you want. Okay? Very good. One time a devotee said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, this world is an illusion. Prabhupada said, how can you say this world is an illusion? The mountains are beautiful, the rivers are beautiful, the sea, the sky, the trees, it's all very beautiful. It is a beautiful world, but there is one problem. What is that problem?
Comes to an end.
Temporary, yes. It's all temporary. So, that's the problem, he said. The spiritual world, however, is millions of times more beautiful than this world. So even if we see something beautiful, it has no comparison to the beauty of the spiritual world. One godbrother of Srila Prabhupada pointed out that your disciples are not very cultured. Srila Prabhupada said, but they will do anything I ask them. They have Guru Nishtha. So we didn't come into Krishna consciousness cultured persons. I couldn't even wash my feet. I was told to come with clean socks. I started from ABC, worked my way up. No culture at all. But Krishna consciousness will take you for the ride. Sometimes it's a roller coaster ride, but you get everything that you need. All knowledge, all understanding, the right direction, everything is there. Another godbrother said to Prabhupada, your disciples, they chant very slowly the Hare Krishna mantra. How come they're chanting so slowly? And Prabhupada's reply, because it's a foreign language to them. Sometimes in the beginning you cannot even say Krishna. You know, I remember that happened to me. I was just taking prasadam, and then after 3 months of taking prasadam, this sound came out of my mouth, but it was very, very difficult. Krishna. You know, it was like breaking the ice in my whole being to say Krishna's name. But once I started, there was no stopping. That's the nature of the holy name. Just say Krishna once. You're in trouble. No turning back. Prabhupada talks about eagerness. Rupa Goswami advises, if possible, purchase Krishna consciousness. Don't delay. Purchase immediately. Where it is available, if it's so nice, where is it available? Yes, this movement is going on. Now you can go anywhere in the world and there are devotees chanting and dancing. What is the price? Yes, it does have a price. What is that price? Simply your eagerness. This is the price you must pay. Then you will get Krishna. So Krishna is no poor man. Krishna is not poor and devotees are not poor. We can distribute Krishna freely. Simply you have to purchase by your eagerness. This eagerness is a very important thing. And if you can associate with devotees, therefore we are giving a chance for everyone to invoke that eagerness. Then you can see God eye to eye. It is not difficult. If you think, I must see Krishna in this lifetime, this life is meant for seeing Krishna. It is not meant for becoming dogs and hogs. Unfortunately, the whole civilization is going on to that, to be trained as dogs and hogs. This is the only institution which is teaching how to see Krishna. With eagerness, you will be enriched with knowledge and detachment. Knowledge does not mean how we have discovered the atom bomb. What is this knowledge? People are dying. You have discovered something which will accelerate death. We are giving knowledge, stopping death. That is Krishna consciousness. Also, Prabhupada said that if you see someone running down the road to serve Maya, you should run past him to serve Krishna. That's eagerness.
Maybe some questions?
Should I stop here?
I would like you to describe your Krishna consciousness, how it started here in London, and what was the first impression, how did you join, and how easy was distribution of the books after George Harrison joined here. So can you please tell us about more your experience, in early experience here, all faults and mistakes? I think it was very busy place and very place.
I saw the devotees first on Top of the Pops. I was hippie and I liked music, and I was waiting for number one. What was number one this week? And when the number one was called out and they came on stage, I had a shock. They were not long-haired hippies and with guitars and things like that. They were some monks. And first I thought it was a joke. It was some kind of joke. But then I realized they were in top 10 for many weeks, and they were singing on top of the pops. So I had to tolerate the Hare Krishna mantra for many weeks. That's how I felt. Little did I know that a seed was being planted in my heart. And 1 year later, well, actually, before I went to London, because that single was successful, George contacted the temple and said, we have to do a follow-up. We need to do an album. So come back to the Apple Studios and we will record an album, which they did and released it. And I was at my friend's house one night. We were doing all these naughty things, taking drugs and things. And as I left the house, at the end of the evening, I saw this record on the table. I asked him, what's that? He said, I don't know, someone gave it to me, you can have it. And it was the Radha London Temple album. So I took it home and started playing it. And I played and played and played. I realized after some time I wasn't playing anything else. So Krishna knew I would become a devotee. I didn't know, but he knew. And then a while later I went to London and I got a job cleaning rich people's homes. And one home I went to was Spike Milligan's home. And Spike Milligan, he's quite famous. I don't know if he's still alive. Probably not. I didn't meet him personally, but I met his wife, and she used to tell me about India, because I had been to India many times. And at the same time, I met devotees on Oxford Street. First, I was just watching them dancing, chanting. And then one day, one of them came to me, gave me a magazine and a ticket for a love feast. So, it was free. So one Sunday, I came to the temple. Didn't like the kirtan, I didn't really understand the philosophy, but I understood the food they were serving. And it was a big feast, it wasn't small, at least 15 preparations. And at the time, I didn't know at the time, but Prabhupada had said to devotees that you should come and eat as much as you want. You walk away like a duck. So that's what I was doing every Sunday. And then one devotee asked me, oh, you like our food. Why don't you come for lunch too? I said, well, why not? And that was what I was doing for 3 months, only taking prasadam. And one day this is what happened to me. I was just minding my own business on the top of the double-decker bus, and I started chanting. I couldn't stop. I didn't even think about chanting. It just came. It just came. It just as if the vibe, Krishna was dancing on my tongue, saying, now it's time for you to chant.
Yeah.
And I was chanting all evening, and next morning I went to the temple. I said, I have a problem. They asked, what is your problem? Well, I keep chanting your mantra and I can't stop. And then they told me, do you know what you've been eating the last 3 months? I said, good food. And they said, no, it's prasad. You've eaten so much prasad, you've purified your tongue, and now Krishna's dancing on your tongue, inducing you to chant. So that's how I met the devotees. And one day, Kishore, Kishore, he was preaching to me. He was already a member of the temple. So I was a hippie with a long hair and beard and all these things. And in those days we thought we were God. And if we were not God, we soon would be. It was just a matter of time. Suddenly Kishore bowed down at my feet. And I was thinking, wow, he really understands me. As he got up, he said, oh, did you see my guru? And Prabhupada walked across the first floor to the bathroom. I was a little disappointed. But he said, you can come tonight and listen to his class. So he starts at 7:30. So I was a little late. I came around 8 o'clock. The class was already going on. And as I walked in the temple room, Prabhupada was sitting on the side and the deities were on. So I went right close to the deities, sat down. And my first thoughts were, why are all these young people listening to an old man? Because the hippies, we believed that we were going to start a new revolution because the older people had done nothing for the world. They had made a mess. Of course, I didn't know who Prabhupada was, but I was thinking like that. And then Krishna turned the whole thing back to me. Because suddenly, all the devotees were looking at me. They were turning back where I was sitting and looking at me. I couldn't think, what are they looking at me for? And then I understood after some time it was my smelly feet. The head Bajari, she got up, she didn't light one incense stick, she had a bunch of them. She lit the whole bunch just to counteract the smell of my feet. And then when Prabhupada finished his class, he went up to his room. And one devotee came to me, he said, do you want to come back here again? I said, well, why not? Can you please change your socks before you come? Well, that was the first order, first instruction. Change your socks. Wash your feet. So since that day, I've had clean feet. Haribo. But the story goes on. Actually, I was coming, visiting regularly. I had a German girlfriend who was coming with me. And then after a while she went back to Germany. One devotee came to me, he said, so what do you want to do with your life? I said, well, I'd like to be like you, but I have one last desire. And he said, well, what's that? I said, I want to go to India to see if this is true. He said, you don't need to do that. India's already come to you. I said, no, but it's so strong in me, I've got to go. And in those days, you could actually hitchhike through Europe, and you could go all the way to India overland. In Istanbul, there was full of hippies with their buses and some form of transport. So I got as far as Afghanistan. Unfortunately, as I was traveling with the hippies, I stopped chanting, which I had already started, and I started smoking dope again. And I wasn't very happy about that. But this is the true reality, that if you associate with the non-devotees, you become a non-devotee, even if you're already a devotee. So one day I was in a hotel and I looked out of the window and I saw these big, huge rats huge, huge rats. And I saw them sniffing around. And I immediately reflected on our philosophy that if you don't perfect your human life, in your next life you can become an animal. Confirmed. You can be an animal. I was looking at the rats thinking I could become a rat. So I decided to go all the way back to London. I was so close to India, but so far away at the same time, because if I went to India with all the hippies, what would I learn? So on the way back, I stopped in Munich. I just needed to see some devotees. I hadn't been with devotees for 3 months. And I thought, there must be devotees in this town. I went down to the town center, and within minutes, I heard boom, booty, boom, booty, boom. And when I crossed the different streets and into the town square, there they were, chanting. I came up, paid my obeisances, and I looked at them and I said, I'm back to Dave from London. Oh, we're back to Dave, okay. You better come back to the storehouse with us. And in that kirtan there was Satchinandana Brahmachari, Satchinandana Swami. There was Bhakti Bhushana Swami. You know, he was a grihastha at the time. And then there was Bhakti Vaibhava Swami. He was also a brahmachari. No, he was a grihastha too. So I stayed with him for one week. The first morning for breakfast they served porridge. But Satchinandana Brahmachari, he was given a pot of halava. And I asked the devotee next to me, how come we have porridge and he has halava? They said, because he distributed the most magazines yesterday. And that was his reward. So I said, well, is he going to share some of his halava? Oh, no, you don't share your pot of halava. It's for you. Well, my tongue was getting, wild. Wanted something like I had in London. Anyway, it came. I took the maha from the lunch offering. Anyway, I stayed for 1 week, and then some of the devotees were going to Hamburg. And in Hamburg, I also stayed for 1 week before going back to London. So the temple president, his wife, was bribing me every day because she could see that I liked prasadam. And I had hair like down here. And she would ask me, back to Dave, do you want some pineapple bread today? Yes, I would like. So she went. She wanted 2 inches of my hair. That was the deal. And she did this every day. And gradually my hair was getting shorter. She took my beard and mustache off. The temple president's wives were like mothers. They were like our mothers. And they had their way of doing things. You could not say no. So then she wanted to shave me completely, and I told her, well, I've got to see my parents when I go back to England. So she said, it's okay, you've done very well. And then I went back to London, stayed with some hippies for 1 week, but instead of, associating with them, I had a room and I painted a picture of Keshava Krishna, a nice painting of Keshava Krishna. And then I took that to London with me to the temple. They put it on the Prasadam wall.
You painted it, Maharaj.
Yeah. Well, in those days, anything anyone did was put on the wall. But yeah. So that's how I became a devotee. Yeah, the Rath Yatra festivals were very nice. The 1972 Rath Yatra, that's where I got initiation. And in 1973 Rath Yatra, Prabhupada danced all the way from Marble Arch to Trafalgar Square. We were waiting for him, and I remember being an initiated brahmachari, I was very enthusiastic, and I was leaping in the air in front of Lord Jagannath. And as I came down at one point, my foot touched one lady's pushchair, and I twisted my ankle and fell on the floor. And I'm on the floor in agony. So the devotees, they told me that, well, you better get up on the raft cart, because you cannot walk. And I was thinking, wow, I'll be right next to Prabhupada. And so I got up, and then Prabhupada arrived. But instead of getting on the cart, he wanted to dance and chant on the street. He even told the devotee who was going to lead the kirtan, he was on the cart, told him to come down. And that was that film. You've seen the film Prabhupada dancing. And the Berry Place temple was very small, and many people were joining. At some point, it was getting too crowded. To find a place to sleep was very difficult at nighttime. Some devotees were sleeping on the stairs and in the office rooms and spiritual sky factory at the top. And then that was when Dhananjaya made this arrangement to communicate with George to get a new place. When we got back to Vedanta Manor, we couldn't believe our eyes. Manor house, and it was so big and so opulent. We just couldn't believe it. But I was never one to stay in one place, and as soon as someone suggested I go to Edinburgh, I immediately went to Edinburgh to help with the temple there. And then I was asked to go to Glasgow to open up a center there. There's a whole story about that. And then I was asked to go to Sweden. So tomorrow I'm leaving for Sweden because there's the 50th anniversary of Prabhupada coming there. I arrived the same day Prabhupada arrived in Sweden. And I stayed there for 10 years. So it's all, Krishna consciousness like that. It's all planned out by Krishna. He knows exactly what you should be doing, how you should do it, where you should go. You don't have to worry about nothing. Who would have imagined I would be in Sweden for 10 years? Like Sweden? 20 below zero in the winter, giving out books 20 below zero, a language you don't know. Sometimes I would ask myself, are you crazy or something? But there is just that thing that kept you going, that spark of nectar from Gornitai that just kept you going year after year after year. And then, as if Sweden was not bad enough, I opened up Finland. Lived in Helsinki for 7 years. And after some time, it doesn't really matter where you are as long as you're doing some service. This was Prabhupada's message to us, that you need not worry, providing you're doing some service, providing you're nicely engaged throughout the day, you'll have no anxiety. He also said that if you chant your 16 rounds before 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll have no anxiety throughout the day. So, we're so grateful to Prabhupada that he has given us the opportunities to serve Krishna. I don't know if I answered all your questions.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I have one question about your parents. Have you met them before you got initiated?
I did, yeah.
What did they say?
My mother said, why didn't you join the Salvation Army? And my father said, well, at least you got your bloody hair cut. They didn't care. They showed me the door when I was 16 years old. It's not like, in many countries there's a very strong tie between parents, sons and daughters.
Thank you. Maybe someone else have some questions to Maharaj? If not, I have.
Vadraman's got a question.
Radharaman, please, go ahead.
I've got a question, because I want to be a sannyasi, but I really love my brothers, and I heard that a sannyasi should go away from all of his family. No, because once we did a kirtan with my brothers, it was very wonderful, I very liked it, and I think it would be nice if 3 of us would go chanting on the streets.
So you want my advice?
Yes, I want
Stay with your brother.
Thank you.
Stay with your brother, it's okay. You don't need to be sannyasi to be happy. Stay with your family. You show the other boys that you know what real life is. Okay?
I will, thank you.
I would like to ask you about your decisiveness, that making decision points throughout your ashrams. Brahmachari to Grihastha, from Grihastha to Vanaprastha, from Vanaprastha to Sannyasi. What was like decisions, how you made the decisions? If you can describe, if you can maybe guide us a little bit, because I miss Brahmachari ashram, I'm in Grihastha, may go to other ashrams, but what was your or it was your good brother's advice, or how it was? Can you please describe?
When I was a brahmachari, the Grihastha ashram was not encouraged. One sannyasi was giving a seminar, The Hells and Horrors of the Grihastha ashram. So it was not looked upon as being something that you should do. Of course, that was the immaturity of our society in those days. So many persons left our society because they wanted to. They couldn't continue the brahmacharya life. But as the society matured, gradually the Grihastha ashram became accepted. But in 1976, there was a big fight between the Grihasthas and the renounced brahmacharis and sannyasis. The sannyasis used to preach to the brahmacharis, when you go on the street, don't give any books to women. Because if you give a book to a woman, she may become a devotee. And if she becomes a devotee, you may have to marry her. That was the philosophy. But gradually it was understood that Grihastha ashram was as important in our society as any other ashram. In fact, more important, because we live in a world, a society, which is full of activities. I'm supposed to be socially dead, but even me, I cannot be socially dead. I have too much this feeling of socializing. So I think this socially dead, it's for those who are great souls. So otherwise, you stay in society and you just utilize everything in the service of Krishna. Yukta Vairagya. So we don't have to be artificially renounced. Our renunciation, Prabhupada said, is our 16 rounds. That is real renunciation. Serving Krishna, that is our renunciation. You add Krishna to your life, even the Grihasthas are Paramahamsa Grihasthas, Paramahamsa Sannyasis, Paramahamsa Brahmacharis. You don't have to be a sannyasi to be a Paramahamsa. And we don't have to be artificially renounced either. Whatever we have, we should use it in Krishna's service. This is my understanding. So now there are more Grihasthas than Brahmacharis and Sannyasis. And I think it's very, very nicely balanced society now. As Jesus himself said, live in the world, but don't live of it. And not we have to escape from the world. Live in the world, but don't try to enjoy it for yourself. That's renunciation.
Someone else have a question? I have only 6 questions, last one, but after this we go into prasadam. So just ask now if you want. Just need to.
I have a question actually.
Yeah, please.
Hare Krishna. The discipline required for joining the movement. Did that ever deter you? How did you get over that? There were so many things that you had to do, getting your hair, the cleanliness, and then the etiquette and the standard of, worshipping the deities, entering the room, bowing down. How did you do with all that? How did you?
When I joined the temple a couple of days after that, the devotee shaved my head. Yeah, it wasn't easy. In fact, not only did they shave my head, but they said, no, go on the street and go on the Harinam. So I was in the back of the Harinam trying to hide myself. But at some point, the Harinam stopped, and it was facing the people. There was a big crowd of people. And I was looking at the people, and I was thinking, they're all looking at me. They are all looking at me. When are we going back to the temple? Second day I went out, it was a little better. The third day, the fourth day, I realized actually they're not looking at me, they're looking at all of us. And they're appreciating what we're doing, or at least inquisitive, otherwise they would carry on their own business. And then I saw differently. I saw that, wow, I wasn't watching them so much. I was thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm chanting the holy name. And they're hearing the holy name in their benefit. Prabhupada said it was the highest welfare work you could do. So there's always this turning point in spiritual life where you're no longer in anxiety or thinking from a mental platform. All these impure emotions that we come into Krishna consciousness with gradually disappear as we go along in our journey. So in answer to your question, actually you don't really think about it very much. It may be there are difficult situations, but because you're fully engaged, you don't overly contemplate and get afraid or fearful. You know, I think the boost that we had in those days was the fact that George was, he was my hero, George Harrison. I grew up listening to the Beatles music, and when George became a devotee, I knew I was on the right path. And all his songs that he sang, they were so Krishna conscious and so straight on the line. So it was a big boost for us in those days. And I remember when I was in Scotland and I heard that George was going to release Living in the Material World album. And I was just, distributing books and telling people, George is going to release an album next week. It's called Living in the Material World, and this book tells you all about it. It was so wonderful to be able to do that, to have a backing, some backing, someone everyone knows, and he's following the same philosophy. So it was very encouraging. And George would come to the manor and meet Prabhupada. I remember it was one day when George came, they prepared a feast for him. And George was in his Prabhupada's room, and devotees were serving him. And he asked Prabhupada, do you eat like this every day? Prabhupada said, oh yes, every day. So the Prabhupada was so grateful for his mode of service. So one morning he was chanting the pranam prayers, and instead of all glories to the devotees, he said all glories to George Harrison. 3 times. And it became a little awkward because, we didn't know whether to bow down to George or just, be normal. In the beginning, we started bowing down to him. And he didn't like it. He was this is not what he wanted. So then we adjusted. We talked about it, and I think we were told not to do that because he doesn't like. Yeah. So what's your last question?
Last 6 questions, but a very quick answer.
6.
Very quick answer. It's like I need to turn on my mic as well.
to hear.
It's just 6 quick questions and quick answers. Please describe Prabhupada in one word. Describe Prabhupada in one word.
He told the truth.
Do you
Everyone
regret
else-
for something?
He told the truth and everyone else was telling us lies.
Do you regret for something that you could have been done differently that time?
Something that I could have done differently?
Yeah.
Could have been more serious.
If you would meet Prabhupada now, what would you say?
I'm sorry how we served you when you were here. We didn't understand who Prabhupada was, even as devotees. And I remember we had one program, I don't remember where it was, but it was some Hindu place or some, I don't remember actually what it was, but some initiations were going on there. But before Prabhupada arrived, we had to make a Vyasasan because we didn't have a Vyasasan for him to sit on. So we did a makeshift Vyasasan. And I was one of those that was helping to do it. And I know Prabhupada was uncomfortable on that seat, but he stayed there for several hours. And at one point he stood up and he started dancing. I was relieved, okay. Yeah. But yeah, if Prabhupada came now, I would know how to serve him. But in those days we didn't really know. We didn't know who Prabhupada was, and to the level of service that he would be very pleased with. And I think that's our lamentation.
Last 3 questions. What the most important instruction you received from Prabhupada?
Chant and be happy.
Last 2. Just one advice to the next generation of devotees. Advice for generations, next generation of devotees.
Jump on the boat, but don't jump off. The boat is going over the ocean of material existence. It's Lord Chaitanya's boat. It's a boat that can cross the ocean of material existence. There's no other way you can cross. It's so vast. In any other yoga system, they may try their best, but they cannot achieve the highest result. We have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. He's given us the boat of Krishna consciousness. We have the captain, Srila Prabhupada. We have favorable breeze, the Shastras. Everything is at our disposal. So even if we have some difficulties some days, which there will be difficulties, you should stay on the boat, don't jump off.
Thank you. And now the last question, how the third generation, so again about generation of current generation, can make Prabhupada happy? What is the focus should be now? Our focus as to society, as ISKCON society.
Well, now our society is much more mature than it was. And I would say that, the more generations forward, the more fortunate you are. And when I became a devotee, there wasn't very much in the way of support. We didn't have very many books, very few festivals. There was no back to Shastris, all these different things that you have today. The facilities there in Mayapur, we only had very limited facilities. In fact, that first year, we were on the veranda of the only building in Mayapur, the veranda of the Lotus building. And we were being bitten by mosquitoes, one after another. We didn't even know about mosquitoes. We didn't know about mosquito nets. So we did everything we learned the hard way. So this generation, as the generations go on, you're more and more fortunate because you have more and more facilities, and there's more and more realizations. And our children, Prabhupada said our children's children will be pure devotees. And we can see the children nowadays, how pure they are. Sometimes when I associate with devotees' children, I do workshops for them, they put me to shame. I'm ashamed to be in their association because they're so conscious. So nowadays you got everything to gain and nothing to lose. The thing that kept us going in those early days when we had nothing was Prabhupada's enthusiasm. That saved us. Prabhupada was so enthusiastic. The more difficult it was, the more enthusiastic he would become. Any challenges meant, I will not be defeated, so let's be more enthusiastic. That's how I saw Prabhupada. Nothing would deter him. So that kept us going. He kept us alive. And nowadays, of course, Prabhupada is still with you, but you also have an international society, a worldwide organization. And when I look at some of the devotees, how qualified they are, the quality of devotee is so high nowadays that I'm thinking, well, what do you need me for anymore? Let me get out of here. I can say to Prabhupada very, with full conviction, I could say to him, Prabhupada, it's okay, your movement is going to go on. As the British would say, the sun never set on the British Empire because it was so big. We can say the same thing. The sun will never set on the ISKCON Empire ever again. Because somewhere in the world where the sun is shining, there are devotees chanting and dancing. Even in Siberia. Once I was invited to Siberia, I was thinking, do I want to go to Siberia? What a place. Cold, uninhabited. It's the place where they sent prisoners, labor camps. But I can't turn an invitation down, so I did go. But I was pleasantly surprised when I arrived at Arab Cook's airport. There were 200 devotees that greeted me with kirtan. And I was thinking, wow, even here I'm home. Even here I can say I'm at home. So, and this is just the beginning. We've only passed the first 50 years. Can you imagine what it would be like in the next 50 years? I cannot even imagine what will happen. But for sure, it will speed up. The speed that we've gone the last 50 years, it will be 3 times, maybe 4 times as speedy. The whole society will grow and flourish, captivate everyone's hearts and minds, and induce them to chant and dance and be happy. So you have everything to gain. Don't jump off the boat. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. His Holiness Dhirasanta Dasa Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.